graduated from Duke with a doctorate degree, we decided that we would go watch the course. We also wanted to spend some time with them. It was my daughter-in-law's family and our family. We met there and we went to South Carolina. Duke is actually in North Carolina, so we decided to go down to South Carolina afterwards and just have some family vacation time together. So we rented a house in downtown Charleston. It's beautiful there. Rich in history. So I read a lot about it, but had never seen it for myself. So we rented a house there. Charleston was founded in 1670. Can you imagine 1670? There's a beautiful waterfront park. And out, you can, right out there from the park, you can see the island of Fort Sumter. It was a federal stronghold where the first shots of the Civil War were fired from that island. Can you imagine? The first shots of the Civil War were shot right there. It was amazing. So everyone in the family had something they wanted to see there in Charleston. But my top priority was walking on the very grounds of a plantation of a slave owner. I don't know. Can we turn the sound out on the microphone? I wanted to actually see what a plantation looked like. So that was my priority. We visited the plantation called Boone Hall. It was huge and beautiful. It looked just like what you see on the movies, a long drive with lots of trees up to the house. It was beautiful, just exactly like you would see in a movie. It was amazing. And I wanted to see the slave houses and actually go into them and just apologize, to say, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. That was my intent. I wanted to honor the slaves by remembering their suffering and death. That's one way we can honor people. I even saw the little brick houses. Those were slave houses. And some of the bricks some of the children were actually forced to make bricks for their own homes. And there's one brick that I saw that had a little child's handprint on it from where they manually made the bricks. And so, can we see the next slide? Right there. Can you see the handprint right there? The next one. Next. Can we go back to yeah. It's really important for us to remember and honor those who have suffered by talking, discussing, contemplating. It was really an amazing experience. I can't even imagine what it would be like to be a slave. I can't even imagine what it would be like for someone to own me, to be beaten, whipped, starved, overworked, and sometimes killed. I can't even imagine what it would be like to be born a slave and then to die a slave. I just can't imagine. Can you imagine? We will never know what it's like to be a slave. Praise the Lord. Right? Praise the Lord. And I pray that you will make a vow that you will support people who can't protect themselves. That you will be a voice for people that do not have a voice. Amen? Did you know that historians have calculated and have guesstimated how many slaves were in the Roman world during the Bible times? You think thousands? They've estimated that 25 to 40% of the population during that time were slaves. Can you imagine? Imagine what the Jews endured. Can you imagine? 25 to 40% of the people were slaves. So then they calculated that 45 to 60 million people were slaves in the Roman Empire during the middle of the first century. That is a lot of people. Slavery has been a reality for a very long time. The Roman Empire's success was because of the slaves. The Greek philosopher Aristotle said that the slave is a living tool. All through time, slaves have been treated as people of a lesser God, as a thing that is not human. And masters had the right to decide if a slave lived or died. And this morning's scripture reading is about a runaway slave named Onesimus. And I'm going to sign it like this. He had run away from his master. His master's name was Philemon. And I'm going to sign it like this. So Onesimus had run away and had come in contact with Paul. And in that book of Philemon, we find Paul writing a letter to Philemon about Onesimus. And he was writing the letter on the topic of slavery. And it's a beautiful book. You should go home and read it. It's one chapter and 25 verses. That's all. You can read it in no time. And it's a great story for us to read and learn. It teaches us how to live correctly when the culture has gone wrong. And we should always check the biblical principles first before we follow the culture. Always. Plus, in this story, it's a story of forgiveness, and it reminds us that God has forgiven us. Okay. So it is thought that Philemon was the leader in the church of Colossae. And it seems that Paul and Philemon were close friends. And what is really awesome about this letter is that Paul doesn't just write to Philemon, but he addresses it to other people in the church. It wasn't just a letter sent directly to Philemon, but a letter that was sent to the leaders of the church of Colossae, which is very interesting because the problem included the whole body. And that's what the church body does. The church body helps one another. Remember, I talked about, preached before about keeping each other accountable. And so that we see this, when we see somebody off track, we talk to them in love and with grace. We talk with them, I think maybe this might be a big mistake. That maybe you're getting your eyes off God. We keep each other accountable. So kind of in the same idea, Paul is talking to Philemon, but he's not just talking to Philemon, but the whole church about the culture of slavery. Paul begins his letter by praising Philemon. He had been doing. And Paul is very thankful for Philemon. He's not just trying to butter him up. Paul really does love Philemon and is very thankful for him and for all that he's done for the Lord and for the work he's been doing for the Lord. There are a lot of good people who get caught, that have good intentions, but they get caught up in the corruption of society and culture. They need the body of Christ to hold them accountable and to show them the right way. Think about that, and think about whether you might be among those. I have to be careful too. It's so easy to get enticed into bigger and better things. The world out there is big, and American culture is big. And the temptations are big. We need to be so careful, very careful. So Paul is reminding Philemon that he is a follower of Christ. And that as a follower, he is to show grace and mercy. As a disciple of Christ, Paul actually had the authority to command Philemon to forgive Onesimus, to forgive him for running away. But Paul doesn't do that. He's gentle and loving and encouraging to teach Philemon and for Philemon to want to change. So Paul is asking Philemon to please forgive Onesimus. Yes, he ran away, but forgive him and set him free from slavery. As a Christian man, to have a slave, can you see how he had become immersed in the culture? Paul is saying, I'm sending Onesimus back. Even though Paul really wanted him to stay and help him in his preaching and teaching. Because Paul was in prison at this time, in chains. And he really wanted Onesimus to come and help him with his teaching and preaching. But Paul wanted Philemon to leave the culture of slavery and intentionally allow Onesimus to go free. Paul wanted Philemon to make that decision and to make the right decision. To learn and realize, because Paul realizes he couldn't force Philemon to do anything. Just like we can't force anyone to follow good moral standards. We can't. We can't force people to do what is right. We can't force people to follow the biblical principles. We have to want to change. We have to want to follow good morals. We have to want to follow biblical principles. We have to want to fight for justice. We have to want to fight to protect people that can't protect themselves. We have to want to leave the darkness and follow the light. We just can't force other people. And they can't force us. Our hearts must want to attend and follow God 100%. Not the culture of the time. Paul, it was risky. He was sending Onesimus back to Philemon. It was very risky. But Paul wanted Philemon to do the right thing on his own. So in a sense, Paul's saying, Philemon, Onesimus is a person as well. And on top of that, he's a born-again believer in Christ. He isn't your slave. He's your brother in Christ. You need to let him go free. And we read in 2 Corinthians 5:17. Next slide. There we go. Paul wrote, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creature. The old things are passed away. Behold, new things have come." It's so cool. So Paul is asking Philemon, forgive Onesimus and set him free. To be a Christian means we live in righteousness, and no matter what the culture says. To be a Christian also means to forgive. Paul was such an authentic Christian. He was even offering to pay for Onesimus' debt and for what he owed Philemon for the time he was not working. Wow. This book that has one chapter with only 25 verses shows us that Paul's Christ-like action to be a voice and a protector for someone who could not protect themselves. So cool. Theologians feel confident that Philemon did forgive Onesimus and set him free, because the book of Philemon is actually canonized in the Holy Scriptures. also, there's documentation that there was a bishop in Ephesus around the year 110, and his name was Onesimus. So they're thinking that maybe this Onesimus was the same Onesimus that Philemon set free to become a servant of Christ and was allowed to serve Christ until he was called home. It doesn't matter the cultural norms of that time, whether there was millions of slaves or not, or that it was normal. It doesn't matter. Philemon did allow Onesimus to become free. And his paperwork was signed, paid in full. Paid in full. Just like Christ has done for us on the cross. He took our sins and paid them in full. Praise the Lord. In honesty, we were all once runaways. We were disobedient to God and His law, and we were trying to outrun the consequences. We did the same thing. There were times that we didn't even care about the consequences. We were enslaved to sin and death. But through the blood of the Lamb, our chains are gone, and we have been set free. Our sin, in our sins and unforgiven state, we too face the consequences of death. But Scripture tells us the wages of sin are death. But because Jesus sacrificed himself, we have accepted Jesus as our Lord and Savior, we have gained eternal life. I sure hope and pray that through this book of Philemon, you realize that running away from God isn't the answer. Rather, running to God is the answer. I also hope and pray that through this book of Philemon, that you'll feel inspired to follow the righteousness rather than the culture. And when culture demands unrighteousness from you, that you will follow God's way rather. And I hope and pray that this book has inspired you and has refreshed you with this new outlook, which means to forgive, and to forgive completely, not just a little bit. Sometimes we can forgive a little bit, but I won't forget it. But to just forgive completely. I hope this book helps you to do that. It is so important for us to forgive. Amen? Let's pray. Merciful God, as you look at the people all over the world, and you love each and every person that's walking on this earth, and I thank you for that. We pray for those people that have fallen into the culture, and it causes us to not live rightly. Where we've become so enthralled with the culture and then we've turned our eyes off of you. And I know that it pains you and hurts you so much. Help us to see clearly your love for all people, and help us to do likewise, to love, and teach, and plant seeds, sow seeds, the seeds of your word, to love and to protect people who can't protect themselves, and to just do your work here on earth. We pray for missionaries, people who travel to other parts of the world, some to teach English, and some to teach the Bible, to teach your word. We pray for their safety, we pray for their health, we pray for their protection. We pray for their energy. And we pray for them as they go through culture shock. I pray that you'll help them to carry with them shalom, peace. That their experience will be enjoyable, and that their experience will be life-changing, but in a good way. We also pray for their families who are here in America, wondering about their work over there in other countries. We pray for their peace, for peace and shalom for them as well. And as they wait and are involved in their work, we just pray that they'll be able to be patient and wait for their loved ones to come back. And we pray for their finances too, as they teach, that they will meet their financial goals as they do their work there. We pray for Jesse, and we pray for Joshua and the other young people who will be traveling to Texas this week. On Wednesday for Deaf Camp, Deaf Bible Camp. We pray for their safe travel. We pray for safety while they're there, as well as all the other campers that will be there that week. We pray for protection. We pray for their health. I pray that protect their social life there. I know that among teenagers it's always bound to happen, some disagreements and stuff. So we pray that you will be there. And that the experience there will be a wonderful experience and a blessing on their lives. Pray for their protection. We pray for those of our congregation who aren't here that have been out camping. It's been a very hot weekend. We pray for their protection. And I pray for those who are here. I know that you look down and you're pleased. I thank you for their willingness to serve as they help us as we work on setting up our deaf blind ministry. Pray, Lord, that you'll help us to fight for those who can't fight for themselves, to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Help us to be strong when the culture feels stronger. We pray all this in the name of Jesus.